All the king's horses pay homage to Wannabe King. Welcome to Law and Society. Please subscribe, and let's briefly talk about the obscenity happening before our eyes. We're seeing Donald Trump take bribes and put people in positions of power. They've donated millions of dollars to his campaign through PACs enabled by Citizens United, and they are getting positions of power, ambassadors and nominations into certain cabinet positions. And on the other side, we're seeing media-connected oligarchs like Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg, and of course Elon Musk, sort of pay homage to the king. And it is scary because they control media empires like Facebook and Instagram and X and newspapers like the Washington Post, and you can see them sort of complying, and that is where democracy dies. I've said this before. Democracy dies when the fourth estate complies, and here we're seeing an erosion of that happening, especially with the latest news today that ABC chose to settle a defamation case that Donald Trump brought against ABC for reporting on E. Jean Carroll's case, in which Donald Trump was held civilly liable for sexually assaulting E. Jean Carroll. Donald Trump owes over $80 million to E. Jean Carroll, but here we have ABC, one of the preeminent news agencies of the United States, bowing down to Donald Trump and settling a lawsuit because of what they said, which was reporting on the judgment that was handed down in the case, in E. Jean Carroll's case. So you couldn't have a fealty any more public and publicized and humiliating for a news agency to do, and it is it's disheartening. ABC gets an F for fealty, and that is the best grade you can get in Donald Trump's world today. We live in a world where we are detached from politics. 76 million people decided for the whole country who was going to be president. And 74 million people said Kamala Harris, and 76 said Donald Trump. The question is, that's still just half of the country. There's still another 50 million, at least, people who are eligible to vote who didn't vote. And I wonder, it's quite ironic and poetic to see that democracy movements are most intensely felt when they come and become kitchen table issues. Like in South Korea, where their government just impeached their president, whose fate now lies with the High Court of South Korea. And we saw a 50-year reign of a tyrannical family, the Assad family, fall in Syria. And we're seeing people come out on the streets and talk about populism, about being free. And we are seeing in the oldest continuous democracy in the world being sold piece by piece by Donald Trump, and by giving cabinet positions to people like Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, and Kash Patel. Donald Trump is dismantling our government from the inside. And the fourth estate, instead of standing up to it, is collapsing one by one and becoming part of that oligarchical, autocratic government that Donald Trump very much intends to force upon Americans come January 20th, 2025. So it is up to us, Americans, to keep talking about this. It is up to us to exercise our First Amendment rights to speak truth to power. It's up to us to make democracy a kitchen table issue and realize the hard truth that democracy, if it goes down, our society goes with it. Everything that the work that you go to is compromised when our democracy starts to slip. If for any company or any industry that doesn't comply with the autocratic leader and dictator Donald Trump, that's why democracy is a kitchen table issue for us. We don't feel it today like South Korea did, because South Korea has only had about 50 years of democracy, so they cherish it. They still talk about it in their kitchen tables. It is a big deal when a president illegally declares martial law. And in Syria, we're seeing a 50-year dictatorship coming down, and people on the streets saying that we are free. And we're seeing the movement of everybody coming out, the whole country pausing everything. Forget about the work that you do. That is affected. You look at Syria and you look at the impact of non-compliance with a dictator. You look at Russia and you see the impact of non-compliance with people like Navalny's death, with the death of people falling off of windows every month. That's autocracy. We don't want that, but we don't think that we're going to get that simply because we have the comfort of a 250-year-old democracy. Democracy is just as vulnerable right now in America as it is in Syria. Even more so because we are plunging into autocratic oligarchy as opposed to coming out of it. So democracy wasn't a kitchen table issue this time around because Donald Trump lied about inflation, and you notice how he is now taking back the promises he made to his constituency that prices will come down. He's saying, oh, that's not very easy, you know. He's breaking his promises before even taking office. And he's showing us by his nominations how he is essentially prioritizing himself, how much money he gets. So it's a bribe in a way, and putting people in ambassadorships. And on the other side, having people like Hegseth Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel deconstruct our national security from the inside. So what can you do right now? You can speak truth to power. You can call your senators, red or blue or independent, and tell them that they cannot confirm Hegseth, Gabbard, and Patel for those positions. That they need to look carefully and vet every single person that Donald Trump has nominated to different cabinet positions, including his two daughters' fathers-in-law, and be able to make sure that America has the best representation around the world, not Donald Trump has the best representation around the world. Because Donald Trump works for us. These people who are nominated work for us. Our senators work for us. Our representatives work for us. They are paid by American tax dollars. And you have a right to question how and to whom that money goes to. With that said, thank you so much for listening. I want you to keep up the pressure. I want you to not become complacent to this sort of slippery slope that we're in, because democracy will be in crisis if Senate lays down its advice and consent role and just lets Donald Trump run the government into the ground and compromise our national security along with our standing in the world. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.